a company that I still think E3 is crucial for them, and that is Microsoft. So there is a big rumor right now that's going around that says Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is a game that I do think Microsoft needs to come out this year, at least for Scorpio, even to maybe a release alongside the Scorpio. There's a big rumor that's saying it's being pushed to 2018, that it's going to miss its 2017 release window. Now, the big question is, with their massive lack of exclusives, because I assume Tomb Raider will be a timed exclusive for the Scorpio like it was previously with Rise of the Tomb Raider. If that's the case, if it's at least a timed exclusive, can they afford to have Tomb Raider pushed to next year and not have a lot of exclusives going to the holiday season? Because they are on the opposite side. So Nintendo is lacking third-party support, I guess. Sony is lacking first-party support. And is that a major problem right now for them? Can they afford to miss Tomb Raider?
Microsoft, you mean, right? Yeah,
Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah, they need a big exclusive with the launch of the Scorpio, because and in my opinion, they need to scale back their PC. That thing they're doing with PC and Xbox. I think they need to make the Xbox its own thing, but obviously, that's just my opinion. The business side of it's another. Is their choice.
It's tough for them because they own Windows, and that's their big money maker. So bolster it as much as you can. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Go on.
Yeah. For somebody who's an Xbox fan, Xbox fans take their pride in having exclusives to their console, and for them to have it all on PC, it kind of takes the wind out of their sails a little bit. But regardless of that, they do need a couple big exclusives for the holiday for the Scorpio, and just relying on graphics alone and having the best graphics for their third-party ports from PS4 or whatever is not enough. So yeah, they need a huge game.
I want to say I'm a huge Xbox fan. I really am, and that was my main console to game on because that's where all my my friends gamed on.
360, right?
Yeah, for the 360, yep. And also for the first I want to say. Actually, no. Just recently for the Xbox One, I hopped back in to play Destiny with one of my best friends. But otherwise, it was always Xbox. So PS4 Pro came out midway through this console generation, and they released it alongside some really heavy hitter exclusives. We had Uncharted 4. It didn't come out day and day, but you could play games like Uncharted 4 pretty within the release of the PS4, right? Or Pro, there were certain games that just really made sense to come out alongside Horizon also, you know what I mean? Those are really strong exclusives. But the fact that Microsoft is now going to come out with this sort of midway generation system, but not have any real heavy hitting exclusives to push it with is just, to me, it's a sign that it shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? They should have just waited and done the next Xbox with Halo 6 and with, launch with another Halo game, launch with Halo 6. You want to come back with a bang, launch the next Xbox with the next Halo game, dude. That would ignite, them back way into the front of this console race that's happening. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think that it's a sign that maybe they jumped the gun, or maybe, they had a plan with Scalebound, on its way. Maybe that was going to be Scorpio's big, showing game or whatever. But obviously now they're out of ammo, it seems like.
Yeah, they need more than just Forza.
Yeah, Forza's not I like Forza, I do, but Forza's not going to make me go buy a $500 Xbox just to play it in 4K and decent frame rate. I have a PS4 Pro. I already dipped into that sort of side of things or whatever. Show me something. Give me a reason to go buy that new Xbox. Give me a game that I need to go and play and that I can only play on your system. Because right now I'm really invested in other exclusives that I will never play on your system. Obviously Breath of the Wild or Horizon or something like that. Phil Spencer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you were actually about to say Phil Spencer. I was actually about to say him too. Go on. You're probably about to say what I'm about to say anyways. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I just wanted to say I think that he's a very smart CEO. I really or not a he's a CEO. Right.
He's head of
Xbox. Yeah. He's a big guy over there. And he's got a great name, Phil. But I think he's a very smart guy, and I really like him a lot. And he's got some very innovative ideas that I think are going to help push the future of gaming. And, I know that he said that he sees games like Overwatch and Destiny sort of as the future of like video games, because it's just too expensive for developers to just make a single player game and make maybe a DLC pack or 2 DLC packs and just release it. Like games now, in order for developers to have like some sort of worthy investment into it, they need to be able to pump content into it constantly, like in order to have some sort of return on that. Like that's why I think that Destiny 2, for instance, one of the problems that they had with that game was the lack of content. And one of the problems, or one of the things they promised essentially, was we're going to figure out how to fix that. And I think that in a way, like that'll be through being able to pay for things more frequently. Essentially, I think that is the future, and maybe Microsoft is relying now more so on third parties for that type of experience or whatever. Maybe they're going to provide some sort of exclusivity with other third parties. I know Destiny has Sony, but maybe there'll be other things.
Mm-hmm. They need a lot more exclusive. They need like 3 big exclusives for the holiday season, I think, for them to have a big impact with the Scorpio. That's just my opinion. They really need some exclusives.
Yep. Especially because they're going to go up against a 4K PS4 Pro. I mean, there's not a big difference to the main streamer. You're not going to explain, a Walmart associate's not going to stand there and explain checkerboard pattern to a mom, at time of purchase. She's just going to see, because I still think the PS4 Pro will be $50 less at holiday season. I think it'll get dropped to $350, and I think the Scorpio is going to be $500. So there's a $150 price difference there, and they both say 4K on that back of the box. One has more games, the other one has, Forza, I guess, maybe if they're a racing fan, but Gran Turismo will be there at that time probably. So it's tough. It's a tough sell for Scorpio, especially if the kid doesn't even have a 4K TV. Who's to say he has 4K? At that point, maybe they just buy a regular PS4 and they move on. So yeah. It's tough. It really is tough. Now, I think Phil Spencer understands what's happening in gaming, that the problem we have with games is the budgets do nothing but go up, and gamers don't want to pay $70 to $80 for a game, despite us technically paying the least amount of money we've really ever paid for a game. If you factor in inflation, we were paying $80 to $90 for a Super Nintendo cartridge back in 1993. Chrono Trigger was an $80 game, I believe.
Yeah, games were way more expensive.
Yeah, with inflation, that's like $120 or something now. Would you spend $120 if Final Fantasy 15 had come out, on Final Fantasy 15? Would you on a big RPG like that?
Right.
Probably not. But you end up spending that much money in DLC down the road with something like Destiny or even Overwatch. Overwatch makes crazy amount of money on things that technically don't affect the game, right? It's mostly like visual stuff, right?
It's skins and emotes.
Dances.
Yeah. But you use normally anyway, but you're actually buying the time, like the limited amount of time to like get more stuff at certain times during seasons, like holidays, get more boxes, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I kind of feel bad for Phil Spencer, because I think he's caught right now. I think investors in Microsoft who've never understood the Xbox only see it as a problem believe it or not, investors at Microsoft see the Xbox as a problem for Microsoft right now. And because it's so much money to put these systems out, whereas Windows, they develop it for a little while and then they sell it to large corporations who write massive checks to Microsoft for their server rooms, for their, multi-billion-dollar companies that all run Windows. And it makes no sense to them to build a machine that you lose money on at retail and try to make up licensing and stuff. If it wasn't for Xbox Live being a service that they can charge for, I don't think the Xbox would be around right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's real. Like that's how close I think they are. I mean, 2 years ago they were shopping around the Xbox brand to get rid of it. That's how close they were.
Yeah, I heard about that. Wasn't there like a rumor that Amazon or somebody was going to buy?
Yeah, it was Apple. Apple and Amazon were very close to buying Xbox. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I wonder
they're
how
losing way too much money.
Yeah.
It's like what, and I think he sees this. I think Phil wants these. I think he wants first party games. I think he wants exclusives. I have a feeling he does not have the budget allowed to him to do a lot of this stuff. As much as they don't want to say they don't have the money, whereas Microsoft does, I have a feeling the Xbox division is getting kind of squeezed overall. They're developing this very expensive to make Scorpio that's not going to sell well. I mean, I think Phil pretty much understands that they're going to sell more of their regular Xbox Ones, which will probably make them more money anyway than the Scorpio. And overall, I think they're in this weird time where they have to prove themselves to their investors without spending too much money to do it. And it's the craziest thing to think about, because you develop and you put money into the place that's making you money, which is Windows, right? And you cut down where it's costing you money, which is the Xbox. So it's tough right now for Microsoft. They don't have the IPs. They cancel Scalebound. That's got to be the biggest indication I've ever seen that there are budget constraints at Microsoft in the Xbox division right now, because that game would have run fine on the Scorpio, right? Right. It would have run fine on their computer on Windows, but it's canceled for some reason. Now, why is that?
What's happening is you're exactly right, is that they have a set budget and these games are taking longer than what they originally had planned to develop. And then the game goes over budget and then they end up canceling the game. And even like in some cases, what did they close down the studio from the other?
Well, that was, one, I think they closed one studio, and then Retro was making that, weren't they? Or I think Platinum Games, right? Wasn't Platinum Games making Scalebound?
I think so.
Yeah, so they just tell them, it's canceled. Our contract's done. We'll pay you out to get rid of the contract. But
oh wait, no, it was Fable, the Fable game. They canceled. They didn't they close the studio down?
Oh, wasn't that Lionhead Studios?
That's
or something?
right. Yeah, they closed down Lionhead.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it's weird because we see Microsoft as a company that has infinite amount of money, right? And but it comes down to what they budget for each division, because you put money into where you're going to make money, which is Windows. They're developing the next Windows, or they're making Windows 10 better as they go along to keep selling to companies. Anything with servers, man. Oh my gosh. Servers are the biggest cash cow for Microsoft right now. It's insane.
I'm just wondering.
That's why I'm a little iffy on the Xbox brand right now, is because they do this kind of stuff. Their gaming is not their priority, unfortunately. So they're canceling games and they're closing down studios. For a gamer, you want to go with a company that's not going to do that kind of stuff. So that kind of like as a trust perspective, you kind of just in my opinion, I would go with Nintendo or Sony right now.
And I'm going to give you guys a little look into the back end of everything with retail. Microsoft is the easiest company to work with when it comes to ordering games, because they'll give you something called price protection, whereas Sony and Nintendo will not. And what that means is if they come to the table and drop a price on, let's say Gears of War 4 goes from 60 to 40, they will rebate that. They will give you a rebate, even if you're a small mom and pop shop, as long as you have some kind of wholesale contract with, like, there's one called Ingram, for example. If you have a contract with them and you're ordering through them, they will credit that amount back to your account in cash. Okay. And Sony and Nintendo do not do that. Microsoft does, and that has to be a hit. Whenever they do that, they know they're losing that $20, whereas Nintendo and Sony don't. They just say, hey, order accordingly. We're not going to give you the money for this price drop.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's how it works. So, but yeah, the very small amount of exclusives right now, they have Cuphead, which actually looks pretty cool, but I'm going to buy it on my computer. To be honest. Phantom Dust, I'll get on my computer as well. That's the thing. I'm looking for reasons to turn my Xbox on, but I can even use my Xbox controller on my computer. Like, there's less and less reason to use my Xbox, which is crazy. Now, the Scorpio may change that, because I have a feeling that'll run 4K better than what my computer will, mostly because it'll be tuned heavily to it. I don't have a 4K TV, though, so I don't really know what to do there. I guess buy a 4K TV. But it's a weird time for Microsoft right now. It is. They have Cuphead, Phantom Dust, and
Forza, right? Or
they say Forza. It's going to be Forza 7. We know it. It releases. You could set your clock to it, as Eurogamer said. It's going to release every other year. It's going to be Forza. Then it's going to be Forza Horizon. So,
right.
I don't know what else to do there. It's interesting. I think E3 is the most crucial to Microsoft out of anybody else. They can show up with Scorpio, and then people are going to ask them, "What do I play on it?"